This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
We are into day three, and well into day three. Actually, there's been a lot of stuff going on here this morning, but I've been watching the close-up contest, and from there came immediately over to see the stage contest. And in line with that, they're also doing the online contest. So kind of in between, they're showing a few of the online things. But it's a large theater here under the tent, and I'm sitting next to my friend and yours. You might have seen some at Magic Live or a few other places, perhaps, in Florida. Guy Babley. Hi, Guy. How are you this morning?
What's up, Scott? Everything is great.
So, are you enjoying this FISM?
Very much. How can't you? I'm going to every FISM that I can.
It's hard to go to everything that they've got.
Well, no, you can't. But, I'm used to it because I go to Blackpool, too.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Same thing.
That's right. Yeah, I saw you earlier in Blackpool. That's right, this year. So, have you competed in FISM in the past?
No, I haven't. I finished my competition 30 years ago.
Okay.
I did Tannins in the 80s, and then I did in Israel.
Yeah.
And I'm done. I enjoy to see the next generation.
Yeah.
And working.
And so now you just do it full time, so this way you're working, performing all the time then.
Yeah,
and you're working all over, like from here, you said you're going to be going to New York and performing there then too.
Yeah, I have 4 shows there this week, so I have to leave very early morning so I can be there on time and do everything. Yeah.
Are they going to be having as a private parties, or people can buy tickets to see a show somewhere where you're going to be?
Actually, we're having 2 shows in New York, but I think they're sold out. Then I have a show in Deal on the 23rd of July, and then I have a show at the Catskills on the 25th, I think. I'm not sure.
I understand.
Something like that. It's that week.
So what have you seen or done or bought here that has impressed you?
To be honest, I haven't bought anything like that wowed me. I didn't have much time to go to the dealers because I'm here, in the lectures and in the shows. You go to FISM, you want to see the shows. You want to see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
So forth, there was no ugly. Everything was nice. Of course, you see these people who aim high, and some of them have amazing ideas, but then they need to work on their personality and their routining.
Right.
Sometimes you see people that just blows your mind and say, what the hell has just happened? And everybody's waiting for this moment. And when there's a little moment that somebody just fooling everybody, magicians are so much hungry for just amaze me, just screw in my mind.
That's right.
So, every time something happened, they don't know, the entire audience is just standing on their feet, go, wow. So this little moment is what holds us here.
It is, yeah. And there are a lot of moments like that, it seems like, this year. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Mentalism-wise, since that's your specialty, have you seen anything that has particularly impressed you with some of the performances here? Or
not just yet.
Okay.
There was one competition that was not actually was a nice idea with Piquet touches. Another competition was a good idea by actually somebody I know from Israel, Ron Gaffner. He was amazing. He had some technical difficulties, but I think his whole idea around it was amazing. So, and I'm still waiting for more. I'm hungry.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got plenty more to do today, stage-wise.
Yeah.
And do you know if there's going to be stage contests again tomorrow, or is it today?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Today's Wednesday. I think there is. I think it wraps up. Well, I don't know either.
We have today, tomorrow. We have 3 more days, 2.5 more days.
That's right. It seems like it's going on forever. Because
I love it.
So I do too. I'm just bathing myself and immersing in the experience here. It's been just so wonderful as far as, again, getting to see all the people and friends, from all over the world.
You know what scares me? That next time we have to go to, I will try to go to Korea. And, FISM by itself is a week.
Yes.
So, you need 10 days around it just to fly in and out, and hopefully you get a day. How do I get 10 days? I don't know.
That is kind of hard. I understand what you're saying.
I had to close 2 shows to be here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You had to give up work.
I have my weekly show in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And but I knew it in advance because I got those 3 years ahead.
Right.
And I said, can I speak in Hebrew? Okay, I'm going to cancel it and just go and do FISM. It's only every 3 years. I'm allowed to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, that this is only, they said once every 3 years. It's not, you're not like going to other conventions necessarily unless they're paying you to come and perform their lecture or whatever.
Correct.
But anyhow, this has been,
it's just a way for me to be with friends also. A lot of friends around the world. We come here to sit together and be, so that's a blast. I was fortunate enough to see you a few times this year. And I guess I'm following you. Or maybe you follow me.
I think,
don't know.
one of us is stalking the other, I think.
Or maybe we both go to the bar and this is where we meet all the time.
Yeah. Well, this has been just a great convention. I've enjoyed it. It's a nice atmosphere. They've added a lot more things. They had street magic also. Did you see any of the street performers?
No, I haven't. And the online magic. We just watched the video while we were talking.
Yes, that was on the background over there.
Yeah.
Showing us on the monitors. So that just shows you the level of activities. There are things going on just all the time and simultaneous. And while we're doing this, there are other things that are going on. I mean, with Armando Lucero doing his shows over there in the other building. And, of course, in the dealers, I haven't ever heard numbers. Have you heard how many people that they have here this year?
I would say about 2.5 grand.
That's what I think about. A little over 2,000, I'm guessing.
I think so.
I've not talked with anybody yet to see kind of what they said about this. But
it's a nice turnover. We hear the competitions are outside in like a produced tent, an outside tent, but very well produced. And this is huge, man. It takes you like a minute to walk from the front to the back.
It's a big tent.
It's huge. And it's full. It's full.
If you've been to Oktoberfest, this is much like one of their beer tents. All right. Well, they're getting ready for the next one over here with Devontae Magic. With mind reading, hey, you'll like this. Oh, it's a demonstration. Is this online? Okay. That was Guy Babley. Scotty out. We have just arrived at the White Party, and we're going to be talking with a lot of folks while we're here, but we're standing in the Palace right now. We've had some amazing venues for parties at FISM in the past, including the place where they do the Nobel Peace Prize and other kinds of things, but this is the most elegant. It's over the top. I don't know what else to say. It's amazing. But I've got with me also a friend of mine from Scotland, from Aberdeen, actually, by way of, I guess, from Orkney, I always like to say. One of the original Viking areas up there. My friend Norn. Hey, Norn.
Hello, good to see you, Scott.
And it's really good to see you.
This is very like your own home when you
come. Welcome to my home. Exactly. All one story, but it's spread out. Got a lot of room in Texas. Looks like they got a lot of room here.
You got stables here as well, and I don't know, a 400-yard lawn to exercise your dog.
A little bit of everything. So, how are you enjoying FISM? What have you seen so far that has excited you? Has there been
mainly the lectures.
Yep.
I've been going to the close-up competition starts tomorrow, so that's what I'll be spending most of my time at. I went to the gala show for the Grand Prix winners. Mm-hmm. I'm just a smart pass guy. I'm low cost.
Okay.
So I couldn't go to the one on Monday night, but I went to the one on Tuesday, which was for the local Italian people, and it was fantastic.
I think they had a little bit longer show with that than the night before. You wouldn't know, but that's just kind of by the grapevine. What I heard was that those who came in the public show saw a more full act of the presenters.
Probably. Yeah. There was Mr. Rolfo, the organizer, he was doing a lot of explanation for the Italian audience of who these people were.
Yeah.
But, Jan Frisch, the crowd really loved Joachim Guerrero, which I was quite surprised by, but they just loved him.
Yeah.
In fact, they loved everyone.
Well, what's not to love? Yeah, it was pretty darn amazing. All the acts were just solid. And then, as far as the competition, did you see the close-up competition this morning?
Was it this morning? I think it starts tomorrow.
Well, this started this morning, and today and tomorrow.
Oh, right.
So the answer is no. You didn't get to see it.
No, I didn't. I'm now very disappointed.
Yeah. Oh boy, there were some amazing acts. I'm going to talk to Marc DeSouza here shortly about that.
I look forward to his input. He's always a highlight of your show.
Well, thank you. Well, it's good to see you. I'm glad things are going well in Aberdeen, and be sure and say hello to all my mates whenever they get back up there.
I will do. They'll be delighted to hear from you.
So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Norn. Scotty out. We are at the Palace, as we just said, and we were talking with Norn there a while ago, and now I'm talking with someone else who's got another accent. That's Bertil Fredstrom. Hey, Bertil, how are you?
Hey there, I'm fine, and I'm from Sweden.
You are from Sweden?
Way over Texas.
By way of Texas, because he lives just down the street from me, basically, here in Austin, Texas. I say here. So what palace is this, by the way? Do you know where we are?
I understand that this is the king's palace, and he decided to flee the country. So they just took it over, and he wasn't allowed back.
And so the public owned it, and basically from there.
Well, I don't know who owns it, but he is not longer allowed in it.
Well, that's interesting. Now, when we were here a minute ago, you had said, mind you, a little bit of when we were in 73 in Versailles?
Yes.
That was not there. So what was that?
No, that was exactly like this. We had the access to the whole yard, and the waiters and waitress were dressed up in costume.
Oh.
And we had to hold our food because there were no tables.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very, very similar to this. There was an amazing event, and there was a train taking us there.
Mm-hmm.
So we all fit in one train, and I guess it was like an hour's ride, just as here. A long ride, but it was worth it.
Has France sponsored FISM since then?
No, they have not. No.
Because you've been going to FISM like forever. I mean,
I've done 16, yes.
16?
Yeah.
And
my first was Paris, 73, and you never forget your first.
Yeah, well, that's, I guess, the same way with me. I think it was in 88 and then Hague.
Yep.
It was very good. So was there something in this convention so far, for this FISM, that stood out as far as lecture shows and contests?
Well, the contests are just getting better and better each FISM. The Koreans are just practicing more and more, and they get more and more amazing. Things that you could win, like Fred Capps could win FISM with 50 years ago.
I don't think
wouldn't
you could
even
today.
place.
Exactly. we were just talking. I was talking to someone else about that very thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was competing in 76 in close-up,
mm-hmm.
I was doing magic with cigarettes, which is another thing you can't do any longer. So that was fun. I've done it, and I don't need to do it again, and I wouldn't get a chance to get in today in this competition.
Yeah, it's a stiff competition just to get past the preliminaries to get here.
Yes.
Certainly. Well, one of the things they've added this year, of course, is street magic, and as we're kind of looking around, there are street magicians working around us also. And that's kind of cool, and so we're voting on street magic as well as online videos. They've had like TikTok and Instagram videos they were showing during the stage contest today.
I have a comment to that as well, actually.
What do you think?
So they think that this is something new. What they did in the 80s, they introduced this fantastic new venue, video magic. You could do an 8-minute or 6-minute act and send in a VHS cassette, and they watched it. It's just like what we did today. Only it was on a video cassette instead of
And so
streaming.
you sit in your seat and watch the video? I mean, it wasn't like
Yeah, they were judging the videos. We did a magic show.
So you didn't even have to be there and you could win?
No, you didn't have to be there. But
Wow.
the whole idea was to use the new medium. And
Yes.
and this is what they're doing here as well. It's a new media. Let's see what it can do for magic. They tried VHS. I don't think it was a success.
Yeah. No, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, well, you got to keep up with times and also where it is that young people are entering the community.
Yep.
And this is a good way of what they do through YouTube and TikTok and podcasts and everything else.
Yeah, and the big difference, of course, was at that time to do a video cassette, just getting hold of a camera and the lighting that you needed to make an imprint and the big bag that was weighing 15, 20 kilos stuff compared to your phone. We have seen some development. It's magic. It's magic.
It's true. But Bertil, thanks very much. Always good seeing you. I'm glad you're enjoying the convention, as am I. We still got quite a few days to go. We're just kind of in the middle of it, enjoying the white party. Have you heard how many people are here, by the way?
My guess is it's going to be all of us, but I know why it's white because I already spilled my spaghetti sauce, and that's why they all want to punish us. Bring white so you all have a memory.
So the Magic Word Podcast is Bertil Fredstrom, Scotty out. Well, it is that time of the evening, and we are amongst a couple of thousand of my best friends here and
all dressed in white.
All dressed in white. That's right. Where the meeting at? So, to quote Cleavon Little from Blazing Saddles.
Exactly right.
But it was just it was a great time. Had a lot of food. Having a couple glasses of wine. You're having your first Aperol Spritz.
Yeah, this is lovely.
And,
what a lovely summertime drink.
What a nice evening it is, I said.
It is.
Well, today we just had a full day of more magic, lectures and everything. And I was talking to Larry Haas a while ago, and he was saying that he was going the lecture route rather than the competition route. So he was watching and listening to all the lectures, as many as he could, and telling about how innovative that they all were. So I'm sure that they were all quite good. But I tell you, the competition is just higher than I have seen in some of the other FISMs. I mean, consistently high.
Yeah, there's been some great talent here.
We started off this morning with the close-up competition. So who was first up on the bill there?
First up was Daniel Prado. Beautiful act. Daniel does great card work. Very unusual routine with the invisible cards. And he covered it with a hanky. You can see the cards, but he takes the hanky off, and the cards are still invisible.
It's like they're floating or levitating on the table.
Exactly. Yeah, it was great looking. And he has a color named, and eventually he produces a deck of cards in the color named. And then he's got invisible dice, and he's got another invisible deck, and whatever number they roll, when they name the number, the card appears at that number. But it's not from visible cards, it's from invisible cards. So he's counting invisible cards, but when he gets to the number, the card becomes visible.
Visible, right.
Very clever. He had a very clever idea with a card force that was just so good that I will have to seal it.
The only negative comment I had about the show was it took about 2 or 3 minutes to get into the first effect. And as far as, you got an invisible card, shuffle the cards, and all the rest of the usual lines and everything.
Exactly. A lot of shtick. When you only have 10 minutes, you don't want to spend 2 minutes, just
your time is precious. And I think he wasted a few minutes at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, but, I thought it was entertaining and it was good. So, yeah. He was followed by Marcus Vilner, who did this act where he showed a film of early 1900s New York talking about a magic shop, curio shop that no one knew was there. And he goes into the shop, and there's a sign on the table. At the front of the table says Wonder Shop. The sign on the table says back in 10 minutes. And he's just kind of like waiting. And all of a sudden, there's a sound, and the sign flies off the table. And he's looking around. There's nobody there. And he sits down, and there's what appears to be some sort of container with some sort of powder in it. And he takes some of that out, and it becomes a coin. And then the coin vanishes, and he takes more powder, and another coin appears. And this goes on and on in different ways of doing it, but very visual coin productions vanishes. The coin grows when he uses a magnifying glass.
It suddenly appeared.
Yeah, and it shrinks. One of them just absolutely evaporates into dust. Really clever. More coins appear. He does an absolutely beautiful coin assembly with no cards. It's just a bare hand coin assembly, which moves into the explosion routine, that's made famous by Dean Dill. Nice act, clever act. Don't think it's going to be a prize winner, but nicely done. And I think on any regular convention show, I think he would go over very well.
I think I agree. And well, I do. I thought to begin with, as it came out, it reminded me a little bit of Stuart McDonald. I thought it was going to be like a haunted kind of a thing because that salt shaker was kind of moving by itself, and he was kind of creeped out about this because it was an old time magic shop and nobody was there.
Exactly.
And so I thought, it's got a little bit of a Stuart in him right there. And then everything went different with the coins and everything, as you said.
Exactly.
Very good act. Very good act.
Yeah. He was followed by the first parlor competitor for the day, I believe, which was Klaus Wiedermann. And he performed as a tax accountant, or tax lawyer.
Yes.
And that was the theme of the whole act. And so he started by producing...
He could have been a tennis player.
Right. So he starts producing coins, because the tax lawyer is saving people money. And then he talks about he had a very funny opening. He says, I wanted to be a tax lawyer. My parents wanted me to be a tennis player.
Yeah.
And then he's friends with a tennis player, and he's a tax lawyer for them, and he makes them money, but he starts producing tennis balls. And he produces a lot of tennis balls. And then he starts producing cards, but it's all thematically tied to him being a tax lawyer. very, very clever, very, very consistent storyline.
Sure goes over great like at tax convention or something.
Boy, would that be great.
Yeah.
And that's a convention I don't want to go to. Little dry. Followed by Olmac from France.
Love Olmac. Always clever, always got great stuff.
Great visual magic. He had some other stuff.
He looks like George Clooney.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy.
Young George Clooney.
Yeah, I really hate him. Really, too good-looking. He had a bit where he's going to bring over a chair and the table moves out of the way. Moves the table into view and the chair moves out of the way. It's a very funny little bit. He never sits down. He just stands there anyway, so it doesn't matter. But it's just this barrage of incredible card manipulation, not productions, but close-up card magic that I can only describe as manipulation because it's all great sleight-of-hand stuff. It's card transpositions. It's cards putting in his pocket and appears in the deck, puts in the deck, appears in his pocket. I mean, it's super high energy stuff, and the audience loves him. He ends up with doing a Joker in a wine glass. The Joker becomes invisible. Glass is empty. He pulls the Joker out of it again, and then the wine glass disintegrates.
That's right.
It was just incredible looking. I mean, really, really, really cool.
In his hand.
Yeah.
Just turned to powder.
So I think of all the times I've seen him, I mean, this is the best I've seen him. Certainly very different. Not just a card guy, but, just a terrific magician altogether. Very, very fine. Very fine.
Yeah, he has been coming to FISM, I know, and competing in previous years.
Yep.
I don't know if he has won, but he's going to eventually.
I think he may have won second or third once or twice.
Okay.
So he was followed by what was probably one of two hit acts of the day, Duo.
Love them.
I know
Ruby.
one of them is Ruby Perez.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the other gentleman. But basically the act is reminiscent of the act that Juan Tamariz used to do with Juan Anton, Los Mencos, where one was the left hand and one was the right hand. And that was this whole act. The characters were great. The bit with the toothpick kept appearing in Ruby's mouth and the other guy takes it out and throws it away. Another toothpick appears. Very funny. They started out with a card and coin routine, a matrix type routine. Again, it's two hands doing it, but one hand from each. He then went into this bit where they were playing guitar. It was a classical guitar, and one is fingering and the other one's fretting. It's just amazing.
I don't understand how the left brain and right brain can work like that.
Yep.
And the other hand is shuffling cards with the other guy's hand. And it's amazing.
Yeah, just amazing. And they finished with a version of the breadcrumbs, made famous by René Lavin. Only this is breadcrumbs on steroids. The conditions were impossible. The sequences were great.
Fool me.
Yep. Absolutely wonderful. And just a very consistent act, and they got a standing O and very, very well-deserved. They were followed by Sho Takeshige from Japan. I had seen this act. I don't recall if it was at Vectors or if it was at FISM in Quebec. Same basic act, but I think he's cleaned it up a bit. He plays a beggar on the street. He's holding the sign that says spare change. And at one point, the spare change sign turns into this box, a music box, and he cranks it up and it begins to play. And that begins a production of coins in the most impossible manners. Bare hand productions, first of singles and then two and then three, and then ends up producing handfuls of coins. It's absolutely amazing looking stuff and so well driven, character driven. He keeps putting in this bucket. At the end of this, he picks up the bucket and pours it out. There is a flower, and he pulls the petals off the flower.
They change the coins.
Exactly. But he'll put one on his knee, and all of a sudden you'll look down and realize the petals change to a coin without him even touching it.
Yeah.
So at the end of this all, he picks up the bucket to pour out the coins, and the coins are gone, and it's just petals of the flower. And then the box it was sitting on falls apart. So they weren't going in there. And, all of his money is gone. But then at the end, the flower reappears. And the sign that says spare change.
Yeah, it's kind of back to the beginning of where he was.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the whole time he is sitting cross-legged like a beggar on the street. He's not standing or anything.
Absolutely.
He's just sitting in one place the whole time. Yeah.
Yep. Real nice. Real nice act. He was followed by Alec from, I believe, Chinese Taipei. We'd seen this act before as well. It's a card act he calls the label effect. And he has these paper labels that get stuck on the cards.
Right.
So a card is selected, and then he has somebody name a card, write it on the label, put the label on the card, and the card becomes the named card. Unfortunately, he misread the label.
Do you think that was the case?
Yeah.
I wondered about that. I thought maybe he was just trying to say how difficult that it is. And he was trying to explain, see, you could just name a card and you put it on any card. It's not easy, is it? I thought that was where he was. Maybe that was just an out that he used or something.
Yeah, no, he misread it.
He misread it.
Yeah,
okay.
He misread it. It's a shame. It's unfortunate it happened at the beginning of the act. In the middle, it wouldn't have been so bad. But then he does it with the 4 cards pulled out of the deck, puts the labels on, written with the 4 aces, and they become the 4 aces. And it's just a number of effects that are similar to that. Where you put the label on and the card changes whatever's on the label. At the end, the whole deck becomes labeled, but then he pulls the label for one card and talks about...
He kind of flips through the deck.
Yeah, people shouldn't be labeled.
Yeah.
And then all the cards, the labels disappear. He ripples through them, labels all fly off. And it's a really, it's got a nice storyline to it in that respect. So,
it all made sense from start to finish. As far as what you would normally do is to just think of a card, and you could put that card on, or that label onto the card, and then it would be the right one. It was pretty amazing. Then, as Mark said, there at the end, he just kind of ripples through the deck, and as he does, all these labels apparently come off of the cards. Anyhow, great act. Very
good
pretty.
Act.
Pretty.
Good act. Followed by an act that, like, most of us never heard of before, this guy, Toby Rudolph. And one of the funniest bits, which became one of the best card acts I've seen. He brings out this box and says, we're going to play cards against magicians as opposed to cards against humanity. And he's got this giant box of cards with things written on it that are like magic stuff. Hundreds of cards. And he has everybody mix them on the table, do a table wash with them, and he just hands people a bunch of cards and sweeps the rest of the floor. And they're using these cards as basically his script for the rest of the act. And he brings out a regular deck of cards and pulls out 4 black court cards and 4 red spot cards, and does the most impossible sequences of oil and water you have ever seen, to the point where the spectators are mixing the cards and they're still separating into oil and water. Absolutely phenomenal. And he ends with an entire deck being separated. Oil and water, mixed by the audience, and he gives them the cards to take home.
That was amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Never seen anything like that.
Very funny, beautifully scripted, great character. Just an absolutely delightful act, and probably got the biggest hand of the day. Fortunately, he was followed by Javi Rufo, the polar opposite of everything that he did. Here's a guy that comes out. We saw this act in Quebec. I loved it in Quebec. It was one of the highlights of the convention for me. It is absolutely magnificent. He talks again about René Lavon and his tribute to René Lavon. And he's doing this routine with one hand. And it is a white ball and a red ball. These are the size of like a standard billiard ball set. He performed this act on Penn and Teller. So if you haven't seen it, you can see it there. It is just absolutely mind-boggling. He shows the 2 balls so clearly. He drops one into the hat, and that ball returns.
And, it was more than just that. It was the romantic story. Of course, that was what René was all about, really.
Exactly.
Was the poetry. And he really put poetry into this, even though that it was in English and not in Spanish. But it was beautiful. He talked about the sun and the moon and dancing with
and the balls are inseparable.
Dancing with the sun. the earth, and
Yeah, the balls are inseparable, and so even if you throw them away, it always returns because they're inseparable.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful routine.
Beautiful routine. And got a great hand, but the simplicity of this thing is just makes it so beautiful. He was followed by Al Chan. Again, seen this act before. It's a 3-card Monty themed act. But boy, that's not doing it justice. It is 2 jokers and a queen, amazing transpositions between the cards. One of them he has signed eventually, and we're talking about there's probably like 8, 9 phases to this thing. He has one of the cards torn in half and signed. One half vanishes, and eventually it appears within the layers of a sheet of cardboard that he's doing this 3-card Monte game on. And it really looks good. Real impossible looking. He was then followed by the most impossible trick of the day. A young man from Japan named Ibuki. And, I basically said I called the act so impossible.
SEW.
Some people said, so what?
Yeah.
Yes, SEW. This is a guy who comes out with a double-breasted jacket with 4 large black buttons. And he starts doing matrix on his jacket with the buttons, but constantly showing that they're actually still sewn on.
Right, they weren't
They have
magnetic.
to be, they have to be cut off with a pair of scissors. And then he takes out a handkerchief and puts it on the table and starts doing the same thing with the buttons on the handkerchief. And at various points, the buttons are actually sewn to the handkerchief after they passed over. And then at one point, the corner that he folds over the buttons to make them travel, the corner is now sewn to the rest of the handkerchief. And it finishes with the entire close-up pad being sewn to the handkerchief and the buttons.
Correct.
Absolutely impossible. And I will tell you, I looked at that because he gave it to Trixie Bond. She was up there helping him. I said, give me that thing. I got to look. And that stuff's really sewn on. I got no idea how this works. It is just absolutely baffling.
In my opinion, I really think that really was the FISM winner. I mean, I think he's going to be winning the first prize because it was so inventive, so creative, so different.
I think he certainly should get an invention trophy for that one.
Never seen anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as we're walking around here this evening, I overheard people talking about that particular trick.
Yep. He was followed by Vinci Tang, who did a Rubik's Cube routine. Rubik's Cubes are, like card tricks these days. Everybody's doing Rubik's Cubes. This guy's Rubik's Cube work was just phenomenal. It is the real deal. He's really doing real solves. He's doing solves behind his back. I mean, it's just impossible looking stuff. Absolutely the best cube manipulation stuff I've seen. These are real cubes that he's mixing up, and he's just got some incredible sequences. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I loved it. He was followed by Air One, who does a gambling-themed routine with a great soundtrack that, he's a gambling cheat that's been caught, and they beat him up, and then they make him do this stuff. Yeah, they make him do this stuff for them so he can work for them and cheat. And they handcuff him and make him do this stuff handcuffed. And these guys doing, riffle stacking and just great, gambling demo stuff until the end where he does something that the guy doesn't like and he shoots him. And then all of a sudden he reveals that he's actually an undercover policeman.
Yeah, he was wearing a bulletproof jacket and then he pulls that off his shirt, shows you out.
Exactly.
You're under arrest.
Yeah, so it's a very clever storyline. Nice way to do a gambling theme act. Kind of fun. He was followed by Gonzalo Gil doing his dream act. Again, we've seen this before. He's at a table with the deck of cards, and apparently this is a dream he's having. And he spreads the cards out. One card's reversed, and he removes it, turns it over, and spreads the cards again, and that card's still reversed. And he does that several times.
Once again, like we were talking yesterday, there seems like it to be a little bit of a theme as far as people having problems with addiction or dream sequences.
Exactly. Or deja vu.
Or deja vu.
Yeah. Or deja vu.
Right.
He tears the card up, it restores, and then becomes torn again and restores yet again. I mean, there's just a lot of really nice sequences in here. He also did a Rubik's Cube thing where it's not so much about solving it, but the cube vanishes, reappears, it shrinks, it grows back. And at the end of this all, he wakes up, but then everything starts getting to him again. It was, it's a clever routine. Again, not a contest winner, but very, very interesting concept. And he's got some nice sequences in it. He's followed by Der Edward and Die Queen. This was a murder mystery routine. And again, I think it's one of those routines where they were trying to do too much.
Yes.
Just got too confusing.
A little convoluted.
Yep. And, I think the act really suffered.
I thought it was supposed to be some sort of a clue type of a premise, basically.
Yep.
where they predicted the victim, the killer, and the time of day, and
Exactly.
And then the person who was actually the killer was the volunteer, happened to be Dow Sanders. Dow was up there wearing a red hat and everything. So
and his name was engraved on a metal plate inside the red hat. It was one of the most baffling parts of the routine.
Yeah.
But not enough to save the act, I bet.
Right.
You know. Followed by Blaise Serra. This is a handsome young man who had the most beautiful lucite table I've ever seen. This is gorgeous. I'm craving that table. Blaise Serra, if you haven't seen him or heard of him, does U.S. competitor, does some of the most baffling, incredible card sleights you have ever seen. Absolutely unbelievable. And even when he shows you how they work, they're still unbelievable. The skill level of his stuff.
His skill level is amazing.
Just off the charts. And this entire act was just part of that all. It was impossible locations of things. It was multiple selections within packets of cards. He had them write the name of the cards on the lucite table with a marker, and yet he found all the cards. All the cards were revealed, reversed in the packets, and all based on his own original moves. He went over quite well.
I like that idea of writing the cards actually on the table.
Wow.
So you don't forget that.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. He was followed by Jürgen Sondel, who did a whole dice act. These were dice productions and vanishes.
Stacking.
Color change. Well, no, that was the act at the end.
Oh.
That was the act at the end.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, different size die.
Exactly. So there were different size dice that he kept throwing the little one away, and the little one kept reappearing. He had some very baffling and very visual dice changes. They're a nice act, but we were to see better in a few minutes. Tomo was another cube act. His was a booklet called Cube Challenge, where he had to undertake various challenges with a mixed cube. A clever idea. He had some nice moves. He had a great thing where one of the Rubik cubes, visibly changed to a die. And then die, the face of the die visibly changed from one number to another. I thought that was great. That was probably the best part of the
volunteer
act.
would then roll the die, and let's say it was a 4, then he would have 4 moves to correct the cube back to its original.
And there were some gags with that as well, but it's just really, really, really clever. And at the end, the cover of the booklet, Cube Challenge, changes to match the prediction of how long it took to do this move and how long it took to do that move. It was a nicely routine act. He was followed by another American, James Swedick. James does a card act where he begins with a beautiful production of 4 aces from a spread. Looks so fair. He then does Open Travelers, or the invisible traveling aces, the cleanest version you've ever seen. Absolutely impossible looking. And then the entire deck not only changes colors, but then changes so that every card is different. All 52 cards are different. It's just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. And the last act of the close-up competition was Vova from Russia. And
he was amazing.
He was amazing. This young guy who's wearing
brought his own fan club, I think, too.
Oh, he did. He did. He's got this mask on, and he's using what appears to be some sort of spray can where he keeps changing the tops. And every time he sprays it, he's producing dice of the color that he's spraying.
It was like a shaker, like a martini shaker.
That's what it looks like, but with removable caps. And he begins doing dice stacking, and then a dice would vanish and reappear under the cup. And then he would change the color of a die, vanish it, and that colored die would appear in the cup. And then all the dice change colors when he's stacking them. Yeah. And he stacks them again, and they change colors again with just a spray. This just went on and on. Dice vanished. At one point, he lifted the cup and just kept lifting. And it was 2 times the height of the cup.
Yeah, when you say went on and on, don't be confused. You were listening to this thinking it was boring.
Oh, not at all.
Effect, because each time it went on, it was like he did something even more incredible.
Yeah, and it was impossible to keep up with this.
Right.
Stuff was so fast, so much going on. And he ends with what you think is the cup that he's been using. All of a sudden, he unrolls it, and it's a picture of a little boy, and he puts it on what was the table he was using, the table surface, lifts it up, and it is a wall.
Mm-hmm. Brick wall.
Exactly. A brick wall. It's just a beautiful routine. Great way to end the morning.
And it made it look as if he's Banksy.
Exactly. And that's the whole idea with the graffiti.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
On the wall. I was going to say it was art imitating art. I just love that. It gave me goosebumps. Like, oh, now I get it. He's Banksy. Yeah. That's why he had the scarf on around his face to begin with and all that. It's like, oh. Yep. Then it came full circle with that.
Yep.
It was beautiful.
So
then we took a break, but not for long, like 15 minutes, hardly even. Not long enough.
Barely time to go to the bathroom.
That's right. And didn't get a chance to eat or do anything at all.
Nope.
Went straight in then to the big tent for the stage contest.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll begin with this, but at some point I need to stop and talk about a few things.
About the what?
We need to talk about a few things that happened today.
Okay.
We started off with Harry Merlin Piper from England, young man who was in the illusion category. He did one illusion that looked like a modern cabinet, and he produced a bird cage, and then he turns it into a giant bird cage with a girl in it. But then he starts doing card manipulations and flipstick. And I'm like, do you get extra point in illusions for doing manipulation? I don't know
what the decision here was. He was doing there. That's true.
Yeah. It was, and then he finishes with what you think is going to be the suspended animation illusion, John Taylor's illusion, but it's done under very different conditions. It's not the typical thing with the cloth going up on the stick. It was pretty much of a visual change. Of course, the stage was as dark as could be, so you kind of knew how it worked anyway. But
what I hated about it, I mean, I like the act. I like Harry and his dad, and the act had these lights shining into the eyes of the audience.
Yes,
that's what I've got to say about it.
Yes, but in addition to that, the stage was far too dark for almost all of it.
It was.
You couldn't see when he was doing his card manips. You couldn't even see the cards. It was terrible. It was, they really need to do a better job.
He had backed into the out of the light. I mean, the lights not only were shining in your eyes, but he had backed upstage a little bit too far.
Yeah, and those lights shining in the eyes. I mean, obviously, that's how the original black art worked. The light was shining into the audience.
Yeah, but he didn't need that much of what he was doing.
Yeah, I don't think it was really necessary. He was followed by a young lady named Layla, who did an act with manipulation of balls, billiard balls.
Standing right over there, by the way, right now.
And
she's amazing.
And cards. I believe she's 15 or 16 years old. Beautiful stuff. But
a student of Juliana Chen's.
She's a student of Juliana Chen's. Yeah. I've got a real problem with this act, and I'll tell you why. Because she did not qualify to compete.
So how'd she get here?
So when they were taking the applications for the FISM NA competition, she had not entered on time. In fact, she had sent her application in 2 weeks late. It was submitted by Juliana. Sent it in 2 weeks late and was told, you may not compete. These are the rules. We follow the rules. Juliana tried to argue. We said, no, you cannot. So this girl did not compete and qualify for competition at FISM NA. All of a sudden, we find out she's sponsored by the Academy of Magical Arts. And Juliana Chen went to the Academy of Magical Arts and petitioned them to bring her in, said, oh, we have found a loophole so that she can get into the competition because this is just a demonstration and she didn't have to compete. Well, I'm crying foul here.
Wait a minute.
This is completely wrong.
So this isn't a competition. I mean, she was competing.
She was competing, but should not have been permitted to compete because she did not qualify under FISM's own rules.
So therefore, she should not win nor have any.
She should not have been here competing.
At all. Okay.
She should not have been here competing.
Well, they were going to have her. They could have had her, I guess, just as a performer.
They could have, but that's not what they wanted.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I really hate seeing favoritism shown to anybody who's involved intrinsically. And Julian is one of the judges. So how do you judge your own student? I mean, that is just. I just think it's ridiculous. And I'm told that it's going to change next time. But you know what? I really don't like seeing people changing the rules to suit the needs of people that are part of the organization. So I just needed to say that.
Okay.
So the next competitor was, by the way, I will say, her act was very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So she was followed by Taylor Morgan from the UK. Taylor comes out with a balloon on a string and starts breaking the pieces of string off, and the balloon goes flying off. He figured he's going to do the gypsy string, but no, these pieces hang in midair and begin moving around in midair. And finally, they do come together on their own volition and form back into a single string. And then the balloon comes down, and the balloon is floating there, and the string vanishes and appears back under the balloon. And then the balloon starts floating all around, following the performer in absolutely impossible ways. It's a floating ball, but it's a floating balloon. Real nice thematic thing. And then, it ends with a blackout, and everybody's cheering, and all of a sudden the lights come back on, and now the stage is filled with balloons floating in the air. And they float up and they stop. And that's the end of the act. And it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was like the holy cow moment.
Everyone at their feet also. They got to stand.
It sure did. Yeah. It sure did. Very, very fine routine. Very fine routine. He's followed by Carlos Rubio, who did a mental routine with colored cards and colored balloons. Kind of like a chair test, but with balloons and cards.
Yeah.
The ultimate payoff just seemed a little obvious. Okay, nothing spectacular. He was followed by one of the hits of the day, Magic Maxwell. This is a young man, I think he's 17 years old.
Munich, yeah.
And the premise of the act is he learned to do magic because he wants to impress girls. Which we all know is the way to impress girls. And he brings a woman up to the audience. Yeah. Oh, and he was as nerdy as they get. Yeah. He was in shorts and solid shoes. I mean, it was just...
He was going for the...
he was going for the nerd factor.
Yeah.
And the whole act is basically a series of outrageous gags.
Outrageous is the word.
Oh, my God. Outrageous. I can't imagine what this guy invested in
Pyrotechs and everything else.
Holy cow, he's going to do the world's greatest card trick. And there is multiple big pyrotechnics going off every time he says world's greatest card trick. They're confetti cannons. There's a guy that wheels out this confetti cannon, must be 6 feet long, 2 feet in diameter, stuffed with confetti. I mean, it was just a start. He's got a costume. He's got a Pip the Magic Dragon costume, saying, I would even drift just something.
Try to impress her with using Pips.
Exactly.
Costume, yeah.
And the arms start moving on the costume. I mean, it went from one funny thing to the next. Just hysterical. Too many gags to even mention, but probably got the biggest hand of the day.
Yeah.
And then more streamers flying out to the audience across the stage. I can't imagine how long it took to clean. And by the way, they came out and handed him a broom for him to start cleaning up.
Yeah.
It was great.
But even the guy who had pushed out that confetti cannon, there was a dummy looked like him who went flying across the stage when everything got shot out.
And then he comes back on stage with his hair on fire.
Hair on fire, yeah.
It was very, very, very funny.
There were so many bits in there.
Yeah. He was followed by Tiziana Gili or Sealy. Sealy. I said he was the archer. This is a guy comes out dressed, as an archer, medieval archer. He produces a bow, and then he takes, he turns a, he's got a chalice and he pours liquid in it, and he pours the liquid out, and it becomes the bowstring. And he strings the bow, and then he takes an arrow out of a quiver, and he pours the liquid on the quiver, on the arrow, which begins to vanish slowly.
To the tip of the arrow by the feathers, yeah.
And becomes invisible. And then he loads the invisible, he takes the invisible arrow, he puts an apple on a stand, shoots the invisible arrow at the apple, and the apple visibly splits in half. He goes over to apparently take the arrow out, and as he does, the other half of the apple falls on the floor.
Ground, yeah.
I mean, really good, consistent thing here. And then the arrow becomes visible slowly on the floor. And again, these are the kind of acts we come to FISM to see. This is not the average run-of-the-mill magic you're going to see anywhere, only at FISM. He was followed by Raphael Schulten This was, there's a bug. This is the repeat production of a shoot of newspaper. He comes out, he's a tap dancing magician, dressed in, I'd say, probably clothes from the 40s or 50s. The sheets of paper just keep appearing, opened at his fingertips. They change to cards. He does card manipulations. A lot of variety in this whole act. And the payoff to the act is he does a costume change under a cloth, just thrown in the air, changes to white tie and tails, produces a top hat, produces a cane, and tap dances until he produces a sheet of newspaper that says the end. A very charming act, very well executed.
He was very comfortable, I think, during the whole show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was a great character.
It looks like he's performing this someplace on a regular basis.
Yep. And then there's a very, 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 very long interval.
That's when I went and took a nap.
Right.
It must have been, 30 minutes? I mean, after about 15, I finally left.
Yeah. And I probably should have joined you. I waited a little while longer before I did. I didn't take a nap, though. So basically, I described it as Tim Burton illusion show. Somebody else said to me, it's the LeGrand David show meets Tim Burton, which is a great... Now, I am not trying to insult this act at all. This act was great.
Was that what took so long to set it up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this must have been a half a semi-truck.
Okay.
There is so much equipment in this act. There are so many cast members in this act. It is just phenomenal. And they're all dressed a la Tim Burton. I mean, it looks like a Tim Burton movie. An elevator illusion to open that's absolutely stunning. I mean, all the props were just stunning. There's a box that he produces somebody from. Another box he produces two people from. He does an aga levitation that just looks absolutely great. He ends with he had this shrink tube. It would look like a giant phantom tube that people slide down, like a slide. This is something Henning did on one of the specials.
Oh, yeah.
He gets inside, slides down, and now he's shrunk to the size of a child. And then they reproduce him, and he appears at the back of the audience after one of the illusions. And then they ride the elevator up together and disappear. And it was just a great show, but boy, it took a long time to set up and just as long to break down. And there is a rule in FISM where you are permitted 5 minutes to set up your act, 5 minutes to break down the act. And if you do not do that, you are disqualified. Yeah. Well, this act should have been disqualified. And I'm betting dollars to donuts he won't be.
Despite how good of an act it was or whatever.
Exactly. Rules are rules. Rules are made to be followed, not to be broken. He was followed by surprise act. I had no idea who this guy was, Shifu Wang. Basically comes out as a martial artist. And he's got this big book. He's following the various katas that he's doing. And then the book visibly changes to a silk, and then the silk changes to white cards, and he begins his card manipulations. And his card work is exquisite, and he does it as a martial artist would do it.
Yeah.
The movements of a martial artist. And then the cards begin changing from white to red. Again, just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And they change one at a time, two at a time, three at a time. 1, 2, 3. Cards in his mouth and his hands are all changing. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. At the end, he's got a fan of cards that he riffles like a book, and it becomes the book. It's just stunning, stunning, standing ovation, well-deserved. This is, maybe they know about him in Asia. We never heard of this guy, and we'll hear of him again. He was followed by another Asian, John Zhang, who did a general magic act. Very nice. He's a janitor in a library, and a book vanishes in a flash of fire that's on a book stand. And then he's got this box on the table, and anything he puts in the hat pops out of the box.
Oh, cool.
It's a very cool thing. It was like a portal. Kind of fun. And then the book appears in his hand. And then he started doing card productions. The books changed to cards, and then vice versa. The cards changed to the book. A lot of he had one point where he's got 4 white lights that appear on his chest. He produces like 2 jumbo cards in each hand, and these white lights appear on his chest and visibly form into a jumbo card, and it becomes a real card visibly on his chest. It was really, I'm like looking at this thing. Am I actually seeing this? I mean, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And he finishes with a shower of cards leaping up from the floor into his hat. Not like a card fountain. Right. This is like a cascade of cards, like a rainbow almost, that goes into his hat. Again, very, very cool visual.
Very inventive, very creative.
Yeah. So now I gotta call attention to something. That is, this is a competition that began at 2:00 in the afternoon. It was supposed to be done by 6:00. It was not. In fact, it took 3 hours for the first 8 acts. And there were 15 acts. It was hot. It was humid. And we were not happy with all of these stage waits.
Right.
So after John Zhang, I just couldn't take it anymore and I had to leave. But I do want to make note of the following competitors.
Who also were there.
Who were there. Yep. So after that was Tom Koss, followed by David Sousa, who is not actually my cousin. Jung Yao, Ho Jung, and finished with Lucas Kaminsky. Now, I found out 2 things. Number one, Lucas Kaminsky, I had somebody who I trust say, oh, you'll probably see him on the last night. This was a bubble act, but it's bubble magic.
From Germany, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. They said just absolutely phenomenal act. And the other thing I found out in the dealer's room, there are monitors showing the stage competition. So while you're in the theater anyway, you're not watching the acts on stage most of the time. You're watching it on a TV screen anyway, so you might as well just be comfortable and go to the dealer's room and watch the competition there.
Glad they're doing that. I didn't know that they were. I was talking to Christian Schenk earlier this week, and he had suggested they do that. They had several years ago. I'd forgotten. That might have been in Stockholm or Den Haag.
At my first FISM in Brussels in '79, they did that. They were showing it in the bar. Yeah. That was the really logical place to do it.
It's just a great idea because that's going to give an opportunity for a lot of people to buy things. The dealers will like it because they're not going to be leaving to go to the competition.
Exactly.
They can watch it right there.
Exactly.
So that's interesting that they're doing that there too.
Yep. So hopefully they'll keep that up.
Well, Mark, tomorrow morning we're going to head back here from the White Party right now, and we're going to I'm going to put this podcast to bed, and me too, and then we'll wake up again early and repeat the whole thing again.
9:00 tomorrow morning.
And then we have after the close-up again stage. It will be tomorrow. Will be the final of the stage competition.
Exactly.
I think. And
I believe
we'll have
that's
more
it.
stage close-up competitions again.
Oh no,
on
I think
Friday as well.
Yeah, I know close-up is on Friday. I'm not sure if we have more stage on Friday or not.
Yeah.
But if there is, we'll be there at least for a while.
Thank you so very much. So for the Magic Word Podcast, thanks again, Mark.
Thank you,
That was Marc DeSouza. Scotty out. And good night.
Outside this convention hall, few of us are known at all, but we're known eternally. So for guys like you and me, Cleveland is the place to be. The pros are running free, all the dealers tell the same. Never mind from where they came. Only your every car your contact number. Only here, no one uses smarts to play.